What is going on, everybody? My name is Nico and welcome back to another BDSP guide video. Today I'm going to be teaching you guys everything you need to know about breeding Pokemon. This is going to be a longer video because there is a lot to breeding Pokemon in BDSP or any Pokemon game for that matter. So buckle your seatbelts, get ready, because we are going to go through so much information. If this is your first time here on the channel, make sure you are subscribed for more videos like this in the future. Let's get into it. So I've been doing a lot of competitive videos lately, and this is super important for competitive. Plus, it's just a good and useful guide for other reasons people may want, certain things out of certain Pokemon, and breeding is the only way you can acquire that. So this guide is for a couple different reasons. There's many ways or many reasons that you would want to breed in Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, so I wanted to cover all of that information here. So where you're going to be able to breed, if you are unfamiliar with it, you're going to be in Salacian Town, and you're going to come over here to the daycare. The process behind it is simply leaving Pokemon at the daycare center. 2 Pokemon of the same type. If you leave 2 Turtwig in there, it'll breed a Turtwig. 1 Pokemon in a Ditto, that is going to be a helpful way to breed. Or 2 Pokemon of a similar egg group. I will not cover egg groups. That is a separate thing. You can just go Google. Super easy. Just Google egg groups and you can see what Pokemon can breed together, because there's so many, and I'm not going to take the time to go through each of the groups and explain all of that information. It's very easily Googleable. Googleable. That's what I'm trying to say. So I think where I'm going to start is going to be Pokeball transferring between the parents and the offspring, because that's something a lot of people like. Basically they like certain shiny Pokemon in certain balls because it adds a cool color effect. They like the color of a certain Pokemon in a certain ball. Whatever it may be, people like having Pokeballs on certain Pokemon. I'm not that person. I don't really care, but some people like it. So I'm going to break it down because there's a couple different ways that you're able to transfer the Pokeball. First off, anything that you breed with a Ditto takes the non-Ditto parent's Pokeball. So for example, currently I've been breeding a Ditto with a Turtwig, and it is going to take whatever Pokeball that Turtwig is. It doesn't matter what ball, because it could be, a Dusk Ball, a Quick Ball, whatever it may be. That is what the offspring is going to be in. Whatever that Turtwig has, that is going to transfer. If you breed 2 of the exact same Pokemon, so say you're breeding 2 Turtwig. You have 2 Turtwig, one has a Pokeball, one has a Quick Ball, whatever it may be. There's a 50-50 chance you get either ball. It's a 50% chance. It just rolls the dice, flips a coin, you're going to boom. That's the Pokeball you get. So it's less likely to get the exact one you want, so you got to make sure you're paying attention to that. The other way to do it is if you're breeding 2 Pokemon of a similar egg group and you're going to send them off to breed, the female is going to be the one that transfers the ball. The female will move the ball over if you're breeding 2 of a same egg group. So that's all you need to know in terms of Pokeball transferring. It's fairly simple. It's not a whole lot you really have to worry about there. It's just 3 basic ways. Honestly, the Ditto way is going to be the easiest method, and Ditto is not that difficult to get in the post game. Moving on, we are going to talk about natures, because natures are fairly important. There is a whole list of natures. I'm going to throw one up on screen here so you guys can see all the different natures. Deciding which nature you actually want to acquire, that is up to you based on the Pokemon you're trying to breed, what the reason for the breeding is, all that stuff. That is all stuff you can figure out on your own. But I'm going to briefly cover natures. So what natures do, if you don't know, is natures give you bonus stats in certain categories. Apparently my Magcargo doesn't have a nature that actually changes the stats at all. So let me switch over to one of these Turtwig here. If I go over here and I look at Turtwig, you can see that it has an increased attack stat and a decreased special attack stat. The reason for that is it has an adamant nature. So because it has an adamant nature, you're going to see the increase in something or in a decrease in another. Now there are a handful of natures that don't change stats at all, which you likely saw in the artwork, the list that I showed here on screen. However, a lot of stats do change based on natures, and this is very important, especially if you're breeding competitive Pokemon. You want to have certain natures on certain Pokemon because it gives you a competitive advantage based on the build that you are doing. It is going to give you extra stats in that category, and as you can see, the red is going to indicate an increase of that stat, and the blue will indicate whatever that nature is decreasing. There's always a counterbalancing act with natures. If one stat's getting increased, another's getting decreased. So if you're looking for a particular nature, there's a couple ways you can go about getting them. The first way is just the random way. You just go in and you start breeding Pokemon, and every time that you do that, there will be a random nature on the particular Pokemon. So you just keep breeding until you get the nature you want, swap that Pokemon in with one of the parents, and continue breeding. Now, there is another way that is a little bit more effective in terms of finding a Pokemon with the nature you want, and that is the synchronized ability. This is an ability that a Pokemon has that whenever you catch a Pokemon, that Pokemon is going to have the same nature as the Pokemon with the synchronized ability. So the one that comes to mind right off the bat is Ralts. A lot of people use Ralts with a bunch of different synchronized natures, and you're going to have like a whole box of these, one for each of the natures, so that way you can go and you can catch whatever nature you need at that given time. I think it's a bit more timely to go and catch a Ralts with synchronized nature with each nature. It takes too long in my opinion. I'd rather just breed, especially with the introduction of mints that you can use to simply just change the nature like that. I would much rather just breed until I get the nature I want and then keep going on. So Ralts is an option if you want to go that route. It does get synchronized. It does allow you to get whatever nature you want. It's just, in my opinion, a bit slower than just breeding for a random nature until you get it. Now, after you have whatever nature you're looking for, you're going to be able to use an Everstone to transfer that nature onto the next Pokemon. So, for example, if I wanted to move this Adamant nature onto an offspring Pokemon, I would go into the Pokemon held items, and I would go and get an Everstone. These can be acquired in the Grand Underground. You find them all the freaking time down there, and you just throw it on the Pokemon, you give it to the Pokemon, and now whenever that Pokemon breeds, that nature will transfer on. So any Turtwig that comes from this Turtwig will have Adamant nature. Now that is all there is in terms of natures. Moving on, we're going to talk about IVs, and this is something that confuses a lot of people, and for good reason. There's just these hidden stats that a lot of people just don't know about in Pokemon, and then there's EVs and IVs. So we're talking IVs. EVs are something very different. The difference between EVs and IVs are that IVs are acquired at birth. When the Pokemon hatches from an egg, it already has its IVs. You can change these with things like bottle caps. However, the grind for bottle caps in this game is very difficult, so it's easier to just know how to breed for IVs, which I'm going to discuss here in a second. But EVs are something you get as you train a Pokemon, whether it be through giving them vitamins like protein, calcium, all that stuff to raise different stats, or battling wild Pokemon. That is the way you get EVs. IVs are there as soon as the Pokemon is born from an egg. That's all. You cannot change it unless you use bottle caps in the late game scenario. Now, a useful item is the IV tracker. This is something you have to be in the post game to acquire, and you're going to go up here to the fighting area to get it. Once you're here, you're going to go right to the Pokemon Center and go up. You're going to go to the Battle Tower area. Go all the way up here. And you're going to go inside this building. Once you're inside, hang a right. You're going to come over and talk to this scientist here in the corner. And then once you do that, he will give you the judge function. When you have the judge function, you go into your Pokemon boxes and you press start. And this is going to give you the option to see all of the different IVs a Pokemon has. So I'm going to just show the console here for a second. As you can see, the HP is very good on this Metcargo. Attack is very good. Defense is decent. When it says best, that means that that Pokemon has the 6 IVs in that category. 6 is the highest that you can have, and the best is the highest you can have in any given category. Obviously, there are scenarios where certain Pokemon want to have lower stats. For example, if you're running a Trick Room team, you would want a Pokemon with a no good speed nature, because that means it has 0 in that IV category, so it's going to be the slowest it can possibly be. Just something to think about in that regard. Now, like I previously mentioned, IVs are acquired at birth and cannot be changed without some significant grinding involved with the Pokemon in question. So it's very important that you're able to move these effectively. The best way to move IVs effectively is to give one of the breeding parents a Destiny Knot. Obviously, if you're breeding for a certain nature and that Pokemon is going to be holding an Everstone, you're going to give the Destiny Knot to whatever the other parent Pokemon is going to be. For example, my Turtwig that I'm breeding with has an Everstone, so my Ditto is holding the Destiny Knot. Now, what the Destiny Knot does is gives your Pokemon the ability to inherit 5 IVs from the parent Pokemon. So, for example, my Ditto is a perfect IV Ditto, as well as my parent Turtwig is a perfect IV Turtwig. So I am breeding with 2 Pokemon with all stats perfect IVs. That means that 5 of those IVs will transfer on to the future Pokemon. So I will have 5 guaranteed perfect IVs on whatever the Pokemon offspring is. That also gives me the chance to have the 6th stat be another random, perfect stat. It's all up to chance on that additional stat, but you guaranteed 5 perfect IVs when breeding with 2 perfect stat parents. And this is a super useful item. The way you acquire this is in the post game. You're going to head east of the Battle League. You're going to be in the cave on Victory Road, and next to the battle and next to the Elite Four, you're going to go east, like I said, toward where the Shaman glitch is done. This is Route 224, and you're going to just head up until you find it. It's just sitting on the ground next to a couple of trainers. So that is how easy it is to get that particular item. It's not very difficult at all. Now, a lot of people like breeding for perfect IV Pokemon. However, like I explained earlier, there are some instances where you just don't want perfect IV Pokemon. For example, the Trick Room scenario that I provided earlier, where Trick Room allows the slowest Pokemon to attack first, so you want your Pokemon to be slower than everybody else, so having 0 in that IV category or a no good IV is going to give you an advantage. Another scenario is when you are using something competitively and it has a stat that it just doesn't need. For example, this Turtwig that I have here. If you can look at the stats on this Turtwig, everything is the best it can be but the special attack. Torterra is not a special attacker when you use it competitively. It's a very strong physical attacker, and you're going to want to focus on that. So having something like its special attack not be very high at all doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because you're never going to be using the special attack. So having a pretty good rather than a best doesn't affect the outcome of your Pokemon. I know some people enjoy having 6 IV Pokemon, like they like it for whatever reason it may be. That's fine. I'm just explaining that you don't need to have 6 IVs, perfect IVs on every stat all the time. So just something to keep in mind as you're breeding. Next up is hidden ability breeding. This is also something that is kind of challenging to figure out because there's just a weird way of going about doing it. So a hidden ability is an ability that usually has better effects than whatever the standard ability is. It depends on the Pokemon. It varies. You'll have to look into it a bit more. But for example, my Torterra has shell armor, which means it cannot be hit by a critical hit instead of overgrow, which is its normal ability. Hidden abilities are a bit tricky to pass on to offspring. I will give you the exact methods that you go about doing this. There are a couple ways that you get 0% odds of moving on the hidden ability. Abilities are random. There's no way to guarantee a transfer like there is in nature. But if you follow these methods and don't stray from this path, you will have higher odds of transferring your hidden ability. So, first off, if you breed any Pokemon with a hidden ability with a Ditto, there is a 60% chance of transferring that hidden ability onto the offspring. 60%. Next up, if you have 2 Pokemon of the same species with a hidden ability, so for example, if I have 2 Torterra, 1 male, 1 female, both have shell armor, and I breed them together, there is a 60% chance to transfer that to the offspring. Again, 2 Pokemon of the same species with a female with hidden ability also has a 60% chance to transfer it to the offspring. So for example, if I have a Torterra that is male and has overgrow, but then I have a Torterra that is female and has shell armor, there is a 60% chance I transfer on the shell armor to the Turtwig. Finally, if you have 2 Pokemon of a same egg group, whatever that egg group may be, the female has a hidden ability, there is a 60% chance you transfer that hidden ability on. Those are the 4 ways that you are able to transfer hidden ability between parents and offspring. There's only a 60% chance every single time you do it, so you're going to have to just kind of keep going and going and going until you get it. It's the only way to go about doing it unless you want to grind for an ability capsule, which is pretty expensive in the battle tower. The final thing in terms of items that you can consider when you're breeding are the power items that you can acquire at the battle tower. So once again, we're going to fly over to the fight area and you're going to go up toward the battle tower. However, you're not going to go into the actual battle tower this time. You're going to go into the shop, which is right in front of the battle tower. So you're going to come over this way. And I don't remember which vendor actually has these particular items, so I'm just going to go to both of them until I figure it out. It is this one. Okay, perfect. So if you scroll down, you'll notice the power items. These power items are items that you can give to Pokemon to transfer specific stats. So, for example, the Power Bracer impacts attack. You can see it in the description right there. What you can do is throw this on a Pokemon that has the attack IV that is desired. And when you breed that Pokemon, that IV will 100% transfer. I don't recommend these for a lot of different Pokemon. I would recommend just using Destiny Knot and breeding till you get what you want. However, when this is the most effective, in my opinion, is when you have the Power Anklet on and you need a Pokemon with 0 speed. If you have a parent Pokemon that has a 0 speed IV and you're planning to use that Pokemon on a Trick Room team, this is a fantastic way to transfer over that particular IV, because that IV is very tricky to get. So being able to transfer that 100% no problem, that is very, very nice. So that's about the only one I recommend. However, you might find other uses for these particular items. So I just wanted to throw this in the video here for you guys. Now, the last thing I want to talk about in terms of getting ready to breed is having a Pokemon with Flame Body. As you can see, my Magcargo here has the ability Flame Body, and this is a fantastic little ability that just speeds up how quickly you can hatch eggs. Having this Pokemon in your party while you're breeding is going to increase the amount of... having this Pokemon in your party while you're breeding is going to decrease the amount of steps it takes for each egg to hatch. So super nice. Magcargo is one that you can get in the post game. Other Pokemon that carry this are Magby or Ponyta, things like that. You're going to be able to have in your party and be able to then use to hatch your eggs much more quickly. So now I'm going to show you guys the best route and 100% how you do this. So I'm going to just go back over. I have a couple eggs already that I have that I'm going to throw back in my party here. So when you are here, like I said, I already have 2 Pokemon in the Daycare. I have my Ditto with the Destiny Knot and my Turtwig with an Everstone. Once the 2 Pokemon are in there, you're going to come out here. I recommend going all the way to the edge of the path and making sure your bike is registered. Make sure you have your speed turned up on it, and you're going to go back and forth right here in a straight line. You're going to go till you hit this. You're going to go back up. And obviously, I have eggs in my party currently. So you're going to be able to just hatch eggs by doing this. And as you go, you'll hatch your eggs. Like I said, eventually one will pop here. I'm just waiting on it too. There it goes. Right there. We're going to hatch our egg here. Maybe we'll get a shiny. This is a Masuda hunt that I've been doing, so. Not a shiny. Now what you do is you're going to go up back toward this man standing outside the Daycare. While you're moving, you're going to be breeding more eggs. So you just talk to this guy and he'll say, oh my gosh, we found a new egg. You hit yes, and you want to add it to your party. And then you just rinse and repeat. You keep going, stop every once in a while, see if he's got an egg for you, keep going, and keep hatching. Now, if you're trying to breed for certain stats, you're going to be going in here and you're going to be checking the Pokemon stats, because sometimes you might not have the best stat Pokemon for starting the breeding, but as you breed with the Destiny Knot, you get better and better IV Pokemon, so you're going to be able to keep switching out the parents and changing up which Pokemon you're breeding with to increase your odds of getting better stats. The final thing that I'm going to talk about very, very briefly, because I already have a separate guide on it and you guys can check that out if that is something that interests you, is shiny hunting. The way you shiny hunt in this game with breeding is you have 2 Pokemon of separate languages. So, for example, my Ditto is Japanese. I'm breeding with my English Turtwig. That is increasing my odds of getting a shiny Pokemon. Now, this doesn't have to be Ditto. This doesn't have to be, anything like that. You can have, if I'm breeding a Turtwig, I could have a foreign Turtwig. If I have a Japanese Turtwig, I can then breed it with my normal English Turtwig, and I'm going to be able to have those increased shiny odds as well. It does not have to be, a Ditto. Also, it doesn't have to be an English Pokemon. You can have 2 separate. If you have, say, a French Turtwig and a Japanese Turtwig, breeding those together will increase the odds. I'm not going to go into the specifics of those particular odds or anything like that, or the best methods for that. I will cover that all in a separate video, and like I said, you guys can check that out if that is something that interests you. But that is going to be it for this breeding guide. Gosh, that was a lot of information. I hope you all got everything you need to know out of this video. If you did, make sure you leave a like and subscribe for more Pokemon content from me in the future. And like I said, that's it. I hope to see you all in the next video.